Welcome to the Parenting Lab podcast. I'm your parent coach, Brittany, and I am here to guide you into the calm, clarity, and connection you're looking for as you transform your parenting from the inside out. Let's get started.
Welcome, everyone. I hope this past week has been a good one for your family. I know it's been a fun week for me with my kids. They're just in such a fun stage of life right now as young adults. So we've spent the week making plans for the future and weighing options, applying for programs, and just getting excited to be together again. My son, who is 20, is serving a mission for our church, and he's in Bolivia right now. It's a 2-year mission, and he has about 7 months left, so it's been almost a year and a half since I've seen him in person. We do get to talk to him once a week, but man, I am just so excited to get him home and wrap my arms around him. Anyway, I've been reflecting this week on my 20 years as a parent, and something keeps coming to my mind that has really shaped our experience as a family, and honestly kind of saved my relationship with my kids over and over again. So I want to share this with you today, hoping that maybe it's something that can inspire you in your own parenting and relationships. It's just a very simple question with a very simple answer, and it's this. As a parent, what's my job? Before I give you my answer, I want you to think about how you would answer that question. Of course, as parents, we have so many jobs, right? We wear a lot of hats, and the mental, physical, emotional load of parenting is huge. So when I ask that question, what's my job, there really aren't any wrong answers. But the answer that I want to offer you is one that I think, at least for me, covers them all. What's my job? To keep my kids safe. That's it. Every single thing I do as a mother, I do it to keep them safe. Now, the reason that I love this question so much and why I've asked it to my kids literally 1,000,000 times during their childhoods is because it is rooted in one of our core family values, which is safety. We established a long time ago that we want our home and family to be a safe space. I'm going to elaborate on how we do that in just a minute, but this is something that's been cultivated in our family for a long time. It's almost become kind of a mantra, actually. What's my job? To keep me safe. They answer it just like that. So because we've been using this as a framework for a while, my kids have truly come to believe this. They know deep down that my job is to keep them safe, and I won't do anything that would jeopardize or harm them in any way. Nor will I knowingly allow them to do something that will compromise their safety either, okay? They trust me to do my job and not overstep the boundaries of my job description. With that trust that we've built, I'm able to counsel with them, guide them, mentor them, and even discipline them from a place of mutual respect. This is the magic of parenting from a place of rooted, grounded values instead of from a place of fear and control. Let me share a couple of experiences with you. When my son was in the 5th grade, he went on a field trip with his class. This meant that he would be dismissed a little bit earlier than usual, but he was still going to walk home from school with his friends. Well, the time for him to come home came and went, and he wasn't there. I saw his neighbor friends walking, so I was like, hey, have you seen Gibson? Nope, they hadn't seen him. He didn't walk with them. Well, after a little bit, panic starts to set in. I called the school, no Gibson. Called his teacher. She couldn't even remember seeing him on the bus. She was frantic, just like I was. Did he even get on the bus? Was he just lost in Salt Lake City? I called the police. I called my mom. I was losing my actual mind. A few minutes later, as an officer arrived at my house, I got a call back from my mom. Gibson was with my sister. She had seen him walking home and invited him to come and play at her house. Oh, crisis averted. I can still feel the relief. Everyone was notified, and not long after that, Gibson came home. And he was very scared that I had called the police and very upset that I had been worried about him. When I asked him what had happened, he said that he told his auntie that he needed to go home first, but she said, don't worry about it. I'll call her and let her know that I have you. But then she had forgotten to call me. So he went about his day thinking that everything was okay, and meanwhile, I was losing all touch with reality. It was a huge misunderstanding, thankfully, and he learned that I am dead serious about keeping him safe. But I can't always do that without his help. He has to do his part too. We need each other. I need him to tell me where he is so that I can get to him if something is wrong. Fast forward to his teenage years, and one fateful night when he missed his curfew and his phone was dead, so I couldn't reach him. This time, he couldn't pin the blame on his auntie. He missed his curfew all on his own. His safety was in jeopardy because I didn't know where he was. He didn't do his part. I didn't punish him for missing his curfew. That's not really something I typically do. But we did have a conversation that kind of went like this. Gibson, what is my job? To keep me safe. Exactly. And I can't do my job if you don't do yours. You have a curfew for a reason, and you have a responsibility to maintain your phone and to let me know where you are. I get that you're 18 now, but this is a matter of respect for both me and for your own safety. So these rules and boundaries that we have in place are there to protect that safety. My kids don't always like those rules, and they definitely don't always like or appreciate me for setting and maintaining those rules, but they do buy into my job description. So when I have to remind them that I'm just keeping them safe, they believe me, even when they don't like me. So let's talk about how we keep our kids safe and make our homes safe spaces, okay? It's not just about having dozens or hundreds of rules in place. In fact, in our family, we only have a few actual rules. Most families, I think, have way too many rules, in my opinion. But cultivating this culture and environment of safety, for me, has 4 main parts to it. So I want to share those with you and explain how these areas connect to this sense of safety. So this is essentially our job description, right? The how-to of how to keep our kids safe. So let's begin. The first part of this is physical safety. This is so much more than just keeping them off the busy road or away from hot burners or helmets when they're riding their bikes. It's about both protection and exploration. It's allowing your child the space they need to explore the world around them within the bounds of safety and awareness. I know you're already really, really good at watching your kids on the playground and making sure they look both ways before they cross the street, but let's talk about some deeper ways that you can protect your children's physical safety. First, you can be their safe harbor. As our kids get older, we want them to start venturing out into the world around them. Children's worlds expand so rapidly as they grow, and they will learn how to interact with that world from you. We shouldn't be teaching our kids that the world is scary or that they are inherently unsafe. Teaching them the skills they need and then being their safe space to return to will give them so much security as they explore new environments. Our kids won't always be with us, but are you creating a home they will want to come back to? Can they be comfortable with you in your physical space, in your home, with your family? Those are all really good questions to consider here. Along with that, we can protect their physical safety by teaching them to be cautious, but not afraid, and confident without being careless. This starts early as they engage in physical play and learn both the power and the limits of their own bodies. Don't wrap them up in bubble wrap. Teach them to play within their limits, point out potential dangers and consequences. And this is one of my very favorites. Instead of telling them to be careful, ask them what's their plan. I remember I was on a field trip a few years ago with one of my preschool classes, and one of my little 4-year-olds was about to go headfirst down one of those structures that's like a fire pole inside of a corkscrew, if you can picture that. As he grabbed the pole, my first instinct was to tell him to be careful. He could fall and get really hurt. But instead, I asked him what his plan was and how he was going to do that. He thought for just a quick second and came up with his plan, which he then executed very clumsily, but he did it. He probably went a bit slower than he maybe would have originally, but he had made the plan. I was there as backup, and he made it down the pole. He was confident in his abilities, but not careless and reckless. Physical safety also comes from knowing and understanding our bodies and how they work for us. So be open, honest, curious, and reverent towards bodies. Use the correct anatomical terms, answer the questions they have about their bodies or your body, and do this without shame or embarrassment. If healthy curiosity is met with shame, it can be internalized and have a huge impact on self-esteem and mental health and sexual health in adulthood. So please be open with your kids when they ask questions. I promise you want the answers to come from you and not their friends or the internet. My daughter especially has always been able to come to me with her questions, and I think only one time I didn't know the answer, so we Googled it, and yeah, we both learned a lot that day. Lastly, but probably most obviously, we can protect our child's physical safety by committing to nonviolence always. Physical punishment doesn't work. It has no purpose. Science has proven this time and again. So just nonviolence, always. Okay, the second part is emotional safety. Are you an emotional safe space for your child? Can they share their feelings with you without fear of judgment or punishment? Are you regulated enough to hold your calm even when they're melting down, acting out, or emotionally overwhelmed? This is a huge part of keeping them safe. In episode 7, we talked about self-regulation and the power of the pause, taking just a moment to get centered within yourself so that you can show up with presence and clarity for your kids. Learning to master this pause will make a huge difference in whether your kids will want to come to you with their feelings, their problems, their mistakes, even their hopes and dreams. Safety comes not just from listening to your kids, but from really hearing them and responding intentionally, not just reacting impulsively. So practice listening, practice pausing, practice resisting this urge to just lecture and teach lessons in the moment. There's time for all of that, but our kids, especially our teenagers, just want us to hear them and love them, even when what they say is hard to hear. The third piece of this is psychological safety. While emotional safety protects how our kids feel, psychological safety is about protecting how they think. Psychological safety is about giving your child the freedom to try new things, make mistakes, and learn without the fear of being ridiculed or harshly criticized. One of the toughest parts of parenting is letting go and letting our kids fail. But the reality is failure is a huge part of growth. And when we create a psychologically safe environment, we're letting our kids know that they're loved and valued no matter what. It's like this. If your child doesn't make the soccer team, or if they get a bad grade on a test, your job is to help them process that disappointment, right? But it's also to make sure that they understand their worth is not tied to their successes or failures. When they feel psychologically safe, they're more likely to try again, to learn from their mistakes, and ultimately to grow stronger. Kids also have vivid imaginations and intricate inner worlds and remarkably brilliant ideas about the world. Do you ask your kids' opinions on things? Do you know what they believe? Do you respect those ideas even if they're different than yours? When you create a space where your child's ideas are heard, validated, and valued, you encourage critical thinking, independent thought, and help them learn to trust their intuition and personal ideals. Another key component of this is believing your child when they tell you something. Now, I understand that kids lie sometimes, which is totally appropriate for certain developmental stages, but this doesn't have to mean that you believe your child didn't eat the cookie even when their mouth is covered in chocolate. We aren't ignorant or blindly letting our kids get away with things. This is more about believing them when they tell you their own personal stories. It can be so easy to not believe our kids. It comes up a lot like this, and honestly, it seems so mundane, but your kid might say something like, I don't know, I hate blueberries. And you respond with something like, no, you don't. I know that's like a silly, simple example, but how often are you saying things like that? Sometimes it's over really small things, but if we aren't believing the small things, they won't come to us with the big important things. So watch that. Don't gaslight your kids. Try just believing them. Get curious about what's going on in their lives, in their minds, so that they want to come to you and have these amazing conversations. The last thing I want to talk to you about is social safety. This is a critical space, but it can also be associated with the most conflict because this is all about their friends, their social life, their social media engagement, and just how they interact with their peers in general. Social safety is about helping your child navigate the world of relationships and friendships and social dynamics in a healthy way. It's about teaching them to build connections with people who respect them and to stand up for themselves when necessary. As parents, we help our kids understand the value of healthy relationships and friendships, kindness, and respect by modeling these behaviors in our own lives and showing them how to communicate openly and deal with conflict in a constructive way. It also means teaching our kids about boundaries in relationships. They need to understand that it's okay to say no to someone who's being unkind or to walk away from a friendship that doesn't make them feel safe or respected. These aren't always easy lessons to teach, especially when kids don't want to lose friends or feel left out. But these boundaries are essential in helping them feel safe and secure in their social worlds. A few key ways to protect your child's social safety are knowing who their friends are and knowing their parents too. Insist on knowing the details of their plans with friends. Know who they're with, where they're going, and what they're doing there. We're so fortunate to live in a time where our kids have cell phones, so we can be in constant contact with them. We've always had a rule that when our kids change company or change location, they have to text me. My daughter is actually annoyingly good at this. I will get messages from her minute by minute sometimes. Going to In-N-Out, just got to In-N-Out, waiting for food, leaving In-N-Out, going to Target to walk around. It's hilarious sometimes. But I always know where she is. How did I get her to agree to that kind of contact? I asked her that magic question. Georgia, what's my job? To keep me safe. Exactly. And if something goes wrong and I need to get to you, how will I know where to go if I don't know where you are? She keeps me updated not because I'm micromanaging her, but because she wants me to be able to get to her if she needs me. She knows I will keep her safe. She has bought into it. She believes it. Anyway, other ways to keep them safe socially. Okay, this is a big one. Limit and monitor their use of social media. There's a lot of rhetoric around social media for kids, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on that here. Maybe that's a future episode. But whatever social media you are allowing for your kids, and this includes video games, okay, please be actively involved in it. Follow their accounts, interact with their posts, see who they're talking to, sharing with, and messaging. This is one area specifically where I encourage you to have very intentional rules and boundaries in place and keep a very open dialogue about what's happening in your child's online life. So many parents have deeply held fears about their child's social safety. This comes from our place that's a little further down the road. You know what I mean? We were all teenagers. We know what teenagers do. We all had that friend. Honestly, maybe we were that friend. But try not to parent from this place of fear, but instead try approaching your kids with trust, especially when they're younger and just starting to venture out away from you. If your fears are very deeply held, this may be a space where coaching or therapy might help you. So please be mindful of that and seek support if you need it. When all else fails, I want you to think about one of the very first things that I mentioned here, which is being your child's safe harbor. If you are the calm harbor and your child is the boat and the world is the open ocean, there's only one of those things that is fixed: the harbor. You can't control the waves or the direction that your child sails, but you are the place they come back to when the seas get rough, when supplies run low, or when they're tired of the voyage. Don't tell them not to sail. Boats are meant to cut through the waves, but teach them how to sail so they can find everything in the world that they are meant to find and do and be. So those are just a few of the ways that you can keep your kids safe. Literally every single thing you do, from the food you put in your fridge to the apps you allow on their phones, it all can connect back to that one magical question. What is my job? To keep you safe. If you can use this question as the foundation for your parenting decisions, or maybe another question that might relate better to your core family values, I am 100% confident that over time, your kids will believe you, that you are just trying to do your job. So when you set rules, limits, boundaries, consequences, and go about the day-to-day grind of parenting, your kids will understand the why behind the what. I can't promise that they'll like it or that they'll like you, but they will understand it. And that, friends, is common ground. That's connection. That is safety. I hope this gives you something to think about this week. Don't forget to share this episode with other parents in your circle. I'm so grateful to have you here and to have this space to share these ideas with you. Please join me next time, where we'll continue to explore the art and science of parenting and put your parenting to the test. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Parenting Lab podcast. For our complete catalog of online courses, free resources, or to join our mailing list, please visit theparentinglab.org. See you next time.